Hi, and welcome to episode number 101 of the weekly Google Cloud Platform podcast. I am Francesc and I'm here with my colleague Mark Mandel. Hey Mark, how are you doing?
I am good. I am hanging out in my parents' house in Melbourne, Australia. So it's really nice being back in my home.
Very good, very good. And I am here hanging out in my home here in San Francisco.
Excellent.
Yeah, and very excited about a really cool episode. We've talked about IoT Core a couple times, but we had not done an episode yet. So we got two people from one from the IoT Core team itself, Indranil Chakraborty, but also we got Gabe Weiss, which is a developer advocate in our team for Cloud that works specifically with IoT and IoT Core. So really, really excited about that.
Yeah, and then after that, we'll have our question of the week. It's all about Francesc. He wrote a really interesting blog post, and so we're going to talk about it.
It is about me, as it should always be. But before that, we have our cool things of the week, and there's three of them. The first one, I am going to say it because it is really, really exciting. We finally got Go 1.8 on App Engine standard environment, which is awesome, and it is now generally available. It had been beta for a little bit, and now it is already the default, which is awesome. If you've never used it, do not worry, because it's, as always, backwards compatible. So if you wrote something with Go 1.5, it will still work with Go 1.8, but there's new things in Go 1.8, such as, well, context was in Go 1.6, but Go 1.7. But there's many, many, many new things that happened since then that might make you happy and a happier gopher. So check it out. Also, everything is faster, as usual with Go.
Yeah, always faster. The second cool thing of the week is basically all about us, because we are the most important.
As it should be.
As it should be. So we wrote a blog post celebrating the fact that we hit 100 episodes. You may have noticed we interviewed Vid Surf. We may have got a little excited about it, and maybe my voice went up like 3 octaves when I got excited about it.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I did get very excited. So we wrote a blog post about it, and in that blog post, we basically also list the 10 most popular episodes that have been downloaded from the podcast. And there's some good ones in there. Some of my favorites, Container Engine with Ken Goldberg, Kubernetes 1.7 with Tim Hocking, Office of CTO with
Cloud
Greg.
Spanner.
Yeah.
Cloud Spanner with Deepti Srivastava. That was amazing.
That was amazing. So they're all good. So if you're maybe not as familiar with our stuff and you're just getting started with the podcast, you might want to go back and have a look.
And the last cool thing of the week is something that is really, really cool, especially for those that do not know Google Cloud Platform that well, and they get confused in between what is Cloud Data Lab and Data Prep and Data Studio and all of these things. There's a list done by our dear manager, Greg Wilson. He wrote a really cool cheat sheet, I want to call it, because you have basically for every single product a description in 4 words or less. And I agree with most of them. Some of them are kind of cheating, but because what he does is just he uses the words that the product stands for. It's like, I mean, if you say IoT and you describe it as Internet of Things, I call that not describing much, but other than that, it's actually really good.
No, it is really good. So, for example, like Cloud IAM is resource access control. Virtual private cloud is like software-defined networking. Ooh, he cheats a bit with hyphens. So like Cloud Functions is event-driven serverless applications. But no, it totally is good. And it's also really nice in that not only does it do 4-word descriptions, it also shows the free tiers for each of the products as well. So if you're like, what is this thing? And also, what can I get for free? It has a column there that shows those for all the products that have free tiers, which is also really nice.
I think it'd be an awesome thing to give to people at conferences, or even to print it as something that you can have in your office. If you're using Google Cloud Platform a lot, it may help you in conversations with coworkers.
Yeah, I think it's going to help me, actually. I'm going to read through it.
There's actually a very high-res image that you can definitely print into something quite big. It can be a fun thing to have.
Put on the wall in your office.
Or not.
Oh my God, yes. I kind of want to do that.
Yep.
Excellent. All right. Well, why don't we go talk to Gabe and Indranil and chat all about Cloud IoT Core.
I am very excited today to welcome 2 more people to our podcast to talk about IoT Core. And nonetheless, we got Indranil Chakraborty, product manager for IoT Core. Hello, Indranil. How are you doing?
Hi, Francesc. I'm doing fine. Thanks for having me here today.
Thank you for joining us. And we also have Gabe Weiss, and he's a developer advocate, fellow developer advocate at Google Cloud Platform, working also for IoT Core and IoT Stuffs.
Yep.
How are you doing?
I'm doing well. How about you?
Doing great. Very excited. We're going to be talking about IoT Core. We've mentioned it a couple times during the podcast, but like mostly as a cool thing of the week and really quick without getting too much into detail. So today we're going to have the opportunity to talk a lot about it. But before that, why don't we start a little bit by telling us who you are and what you do here at Google. We can start with you, Indranil.
Great. So I'm Indranil Chakraborty, and I'm the product manager for Google Cloud IoT Core. And my job really is to set the overall strategy and the vision for the product, work with customers closely, understand what the needs are, and then work with engineering so that we can build the right product which will add value to our customers. So my job really is to work with customers, engineering, DevRel, marketing, and other cross-functional team, so that we're building the right product for the customers.
Cool. What about you, Gabe?
So I'm the developer advocate for Google Cloud Platform, kind of focusing on not just IoT Core, but the IoT platform. So I'm really serving the developers that are using the devices out in the world, the connected devices, to do bigger, better things. So IoT Core specifically is the entryway into the rest of GCP. So I'm here to make sure that the product that Indranil is building with the cross teams really does land with developers and make sure that it's successful with them and that they can use it to do their things.
Cool. All right. So, Indranil, you're the PM. So I'm going to ask you the hard question. So 30,000 foot view, like what is IoT Core from like a really basic standpoint?
Sure. So if you look at Google Cloud Platform, we have what we believe is a state-of-the-art, well-received data analytics and machine learning services today available for our enterprise customers, our developers, and our partners as well. And what Cloud IoT Core does is it really makes it easy to onboard your IoT devices, things that are in your factory, in your oil and gas rigs, or other enterprise setting, to easily onboard those devices to Google Cloud so that you can start pushing data from your devices to Google Cloud and start benefiting from our data analytics and machine learning services. So that's essentially what Cloud IoT Core does. It is a fully managed service to securely connect and manage your IoT devices on Google Cloud Platform.
Cool. So when you say to securely connect, what I'm expecting is like there's some secure way to even like start the communication. How do you make sure that those devices are those devices you expect? Do you need to install certificates in them? What do you mean by securely communicate?
Yeah, we deeply care about security of the devices as well as the data that is being transmitted from the device to cloud. So first, as you mentioned, Francesc, it's really about secure connection of the device to the cloud. So IoT Core supports asymmetric key-based authentication in each individual device. So what that means is you will have a private key which you will store securely, which will store in the device, and then you would register a public key from the device based on the private key onto Cloud IoT Core. So when the device makes a connection to Cloud IoT Core, we can verify based on the signature of the device that it sends with the public key to make sure that that device is really what it says it is. And we use standard JOT token for authentication between the device and IoT Core. So the device will use the private key to sign a JOT token, and then it will send the JOT token to IoT Core, and then we use the JOT token to then verify the signature with our public key that has been registered. So that's one aspect where we authenticate each device at an individual level. And second is, even for connection, we support TLS 1.2 and above. So we expect that each device will use TLS 1.2 to make the initial connection to Google Cloud IoT Core over TCP. Anything outside, if it's not TLS, we reject that connection. That's first step. And then, further, as the data gets transmitted to Cloud IoT Core, whether it's at rest in the cloud or whether it's in transit, the data is always in encrypted form. So we ensure that that's the way we ensure security at the device level during connection as well as at the data level as well.
And also for the TLS connection on the other end, the device will also need to have a root certificate on it to verify on the other side that the device knows it's actually talking to Google. So you can either use a Google-provided root cert, or when you create your bucket in GCP for your devices, we call it the registry. When you create your registry, you can specify a third-party root certificate if you want to use something else. So that's the other on the device side to make sure it knows it's talking to Google.
Cool. I have a bunch of questions, but the first one is, you said JOT token many times. Is that JWT?
Yes, it is JWT. It's essentially JSON Web
Okay,
Token.
cool.
All right, so you covered the security side of it. What's the communication part of it? Like, what does that actually mean? Are they just sending faxes to each other or something? Or like, what's the deal?
Smoke signal. It's all smoke signal.
So, as part of Clout IoT Core, we realized that MQTT is a protocol which is pretty standard in the industry, and so we started with a native support for MQTT on Clout IoT Core. So now with MQTT, devices can publish telemetry, even other information on MQTT topic to IoT Core, and IoT Core then aggregates all the data across all the devices and then pushes it downstream to pub subtopic, from where you can consume and then send it downstream to other services such as BigQuery or Bigtable and as such. So really the transmission between device and communication between device and IoT Core will depend on the protocols. If you use MQTT, then you can publish your telemetry on a certain topic, and then we take it from there. If you're using HTTP, we also have support for HTTP, as you know. If you use HTTP, then you would do a request response protocol to send your data and telemetry to Clout IoT Core.
And MQTT, is that a bidirectional protocol, or is it just sending data from the device down to cloud?
I'm glad you brought it up. Yes, MQTT is a bidirectional protocol. It is based on TCP, and the way it works is, your devices will publish the data to a particular topic, and cloud can also publish data to a certain topic for the device to subscribe to and get the data. So it is bidirectional, and IoT Core supports bidirectional data between the device and the cloud over MQTT.
Now that we understand a little bit what this product does and like the security part of it, I am curious about what is the audience of this product? Meaning, if I'm building, I don't know, like smart light bulbs, is this for me? Or if I'm building like something like a home hack where I have something like I have just one little device. I'm actually trying to work on this, by the way. Something that like allows me to open the garage door from my phone. Who is this for?
Yeah, so Clout IoT Core is really built for scale, right? So if you think about an enterprise company or a smart parking company, they have thousands and hundreds of thousands of devices installed in different parking lots and on the curbside, and all of these devices and sensors are sending data pretty frequently. So they've been able to connect all these devices to Clout IoT Core and ingest the data at scale. So IoT Core is really designed to connect massive amount of devices, ingest a massive scale of data without the customer or the partner, or even the developer, needing to worry about the infrastructure and provisioning. You just connect your devices, whether you're connecting one or millions of devices or even billions, we will scale internally. We will be able to ingest data at scale without an issue. So that's what it's really designed and built for. Now, having said that, we understand that a lot of developers, enterprise, and even sort of the commercial developers, they wanted to get their hands dirty. They want to build some quick prototype before they deploy at scale. So we made it easy and simple enough for even the developers who wants to jumpstart their journey on IoT to be able to quickly build some prototype using IoT Core. So we do have a rich set of APIs. At the same time, we have a pretty simple user interface for any developer or even an operator, for that matter, to quickly build some quick prototype to test out the product and before they scale. So really, going back to your question, it is designed for scale, but at the same time, we expect that we expect a wide spectrum of customers and developers to use it. Developers who are building it for massive scale and for enterprise-grade product. At the same time, developers who want to get their hands dirty, they want to build some quick prototype before they graduate to the next level where they deploy full-scale devices.
Nice.
Cool. So, Gabe, I'm going to direct this to you because I know you've been building stuff with IoT Core. What does the development experience look like?
I'm pretty new to Google. I just started in May. Yeah. So one of the hardest ramp ups I've had is learning all the different pieces of GCP, learning all the APIs, how to build stuff. IoT Core is by far the easiest I've worked with so far, hands down. It's a managed service, so you don't have to stand anything up. You don't have to start a GCE. You don't have to do anything. It's an endpoint. So what that means is I'm free to sit on my device and implement the three pieces that I need to worry about. I need to worry about the JOT authentication. I need to worry about initializing the communication piece. And then I need my sensor data, my telemetry, whatever that ends up being. And that's it. I don't have to download any SDKs from Google Cloud. I don't have to implement any funky cloud stuff. I can just put this message together in MQTT, publish it, and Google handles the rest of it. And I end up with data in my Cloud Pub subtopic. So from a development standpoint, I have to pick my library of choice. I've worked with Python, Node.js. There's some C libraries that work with just bare metal. And I just did this last week when I was at the conference in Barcelona. It was a 10-minute theater talk where it was bare device, nothing on it, and at the end of 10 minutes you have your messages in Cloud that you can do stuff with. So it's super easy.
And you didn't have to install anything specific for IoT Core. I'm assuming you're just putting in some sort of MQTT client on the device that's very standard that you don't have to worry about otherwise.
Yep. So there's standard. That's the three languages I mentioned. So they're just standard libraries for each of them. Paho MQTT is the kind of de facto MQTT library for across all of them. JOT, there's a PyJWT for Python is the one that I was using. So those are the only things you need to install on the device.
And I suppose then also that means then that you're not tied to a particular like hardware provider or a particular set of IoT device. You can basically run this on anything.
On pretty much anything that can talk to the internet. So we've done everything from like the lowest level, the microcontrollers, the ESP8266 are these little nice Wi-Fi controllers that are like super slim, don't do anything other than Wi-Fi, and we've got it to work on those, up through Arduino, Pi, and then on some of the like industrial, we've worked with a couple of partners and their devices to get those talking to Core also.
Nice. So I'm curious about the developing experience. You're saying that you have basically a PubSub queue and that you're receiving all the messages from there, which seems relatively easy. I'm imagining that when you receive that in the payload, there's some identification of what is the origin, like what is the device exactly that is sending the data?
You don't necessarily unless you put it in there. You have you have a record of the device as it's registered in the system, and there's some ID in there, but there wouldn't be any way to like tie a PubSub message back to your device necessarily unless you added it to the payload, which is best practice. We recommend, of course, that you do that. But the bridge in IoT Core it's a pass-through. So as the messages come into IoT Core, it bundles it up with some metadata. Indranil, correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think it actually identifies the device.
We do have, PubSub has this notion of message attributes, I think, as you guys know. So as part of message attributes, we do put the device ID as part of the message attributes. So when you're consuming the data as a subscriber from PubSub, every message you get, you can read the message attributes, and you can use that to know that this particular message is been sent by the thermostat in your living room versus the thermostat in your bedroom, for example. So the PubSub message attributes is where we add the device ID.
Nice. So once you have that ID, how do you reply to it? Like, what if you want to send a message to a specific device?
So there's two things. So one is for every time a device publishes a message, a telemetry could be a temperature measurement or could be a pressure measurement to IoT Core. If IoT Core, the MQTT bridge, if it's able to publish that message successfully to PubSub, it will send an ACK back to the device. So the device that we know that the message that it had sent, the measurement, the data that it has sent to IoT Core has been received and acknowledged. That's one-way communication. Then the next is you may want to, as a developer, you may want to send some message back to the device, right? Or some communication or some control command back to the device, or some configuration update back to the device. So we have part of IoT Core. There are APIs which will allow you to directly send a message to a specific device ID. So you can say, I want to change the temperature setting of the thermostat in the living room. You can specify the device ID of the thermostat and send a specific configuration change to the device. And the good thing about IoT Core is, with IoT, the connectivity is sort of intermittent. Sometimes, most of the time it's there, but sometimes, because of bandwidth constraint or because of the location or whatnot, it's not always continuously connected. So IoT Core makes sure that when you send the latest configuration, when the device, if the device is not connected, when the device comes back up and connects, it will send the latest configuration to the device. So from an application perspective, you build your application and you're not worried about the upstream connection and the data flow between the cloud and device. IoT Core takes care of it.
Nice.
So serverless is the cool new buzzword. So it's either going to be serverless or ML, like one or other.
Yeah.
I'm looking at diagrams here on the Cloud IoT Core website, and I see that there's a way to hook in Cloud Functions, or is Cloud Functions just really useful here? Where's that fit in?
Cloud Functions is just super useful because with Cloud Functions, you have the hook for PubSub message getting subscribed. So since IoT Core connects direct into PubSub, so everything you publish to IoT Core goes into PubSub, your Cloud Functions now can hook into that and do stuff based on whatever you want it to. So you can route things you can use Cloud Functions to route the data from PubSub to anywhere you want, store it in a database, send it along to BigQuery or machine learning, all of the stuff that might be overkill for some of the other systems, GCP. Cloud Functions is just a super nice, lightweight way to do some of that stuff.
Yeah, in fact, if you think about a simple use case where you're reading the temperature setting from your thermostat, and you're consuming it through PubSub, you can have a Cloud Function which reads the temperature setting, and when it goes above 80 degrees, it can send a message back to the same thermostat to say, turn off the air condition, right? So the Cloud Function, in conjunction with, like Gabe mentioned, with PubSub topic, can really be used to build very simple business logic with IoT Core. So I think that's one area where we do see developers trying out and building simple rules and business logics.
Yeah, I just thought about if this then that. That's basically what you're saying. Like you're able to build a system that is basically just events and Cloud Functions as the glue connecting them,
and stay completely serverless in that fashion. So you don't have to have any of these functions living somewhere; they just live in the cloud.
That's cool. Since you were mentioning use cases, is there any other use case that you've seen lately that was really exciting or something that you didn't expect when you were designing this product?
When we designed the product, we always had sort of commercial and enterprise segment in mind, and even within this segment, there's been. I was personally pretty amazed by some of the applications and use case which customers and partners have been using for. So one example was around ride sharing. And this is something which is picking up a lot in UK and Asia. So the whole notion of bike sharing in cities, and we're seeing a couple of our partners and customers using it so that the bikes are connected to Cloud IoT Core, and they have a mobile app. So the user, as it gets closer to the bike they've sort of been assigned to, it automatically unlocks, and so you can start take the bike and start using it. So that is a pretty interesting application which we're seeing and we're using with Cloud IoT Core. I talked about smart parking. That's another area where we have a reference customer who's been using this for notify the drivers about the particular parking lot that is open and available in real time. But also as they collect data, they're also using it to provide sort of more traffic information to the city, to, for example, Auckland transport in the city. So we're saying, use case from sort of ride sharing to providing some real-time information. And then as they collect this data, we're also seeing use cases where they use the data to provide more advanced analytics around traffic management, or even in some cases, predictive maintenance is another area where we're seeing a lot of these use cases in manufacturing particularly.
Yeah, this reminds me a lot of this interview that we're preparing for next week with Smart Parking, where they talk about how they're using all of these technologies and on Google Cloud with Cloud Functions, obviously, to basically make parking smarter. It's very, very exciting.
Yeah. Gabe, have you seen anything else that's particularly interesting?
There's a lot of stuff. I was talking to one of the partners last week about using IoT telemetry data off of drones to map really hard to reach places, and then using the GPS and altitude data off of the devices to help create maps.
Nice.
It was really cool.
So plans for the future. It's probably, the answer is always, we can't speak about roadmaps, but I have to ask.
The typical question. We don't speak about roadmaps, but what about your roadmap?
Yeah. What is there any new things on the horizon that you can share with the audience about what they can expect from IoT Core?
So again, we can't really speak to our roadmap, but there is one thing I can guarantee is, we see the value in IoT Core and how customers and partners and developers can use this to build really compelling applications around smart cities and in oil and gas and manufacturing. So there are a couple of key. Let me sort of at a high level talk about sort of three things which we are really looking into. One is we do want to make it really simple for both developers and our partners to build application on Google platforms, specifically around IoT. So that's still our basic principle, and we want to continue doing that. So you would see a lot of features around how can you quickly jumpstart your journey with IoT. On the UI side, on the API side, we started with managed service, we started with MQTT. But we want to make it even more simpler, so your overall onboarding experience can become really frictionless for you to get started with any device and any sort of hardware you want to do. So that's one area where we want to continue investing. We will invest more, and you will see some feature releases in subsequent couple of months. The second area really is our partner ecosystem is pretty strong. We have a good number of hardware partners around. Think about Intel, NXP, Microchip, Marvell, Sierra Wireless. All these IoT device and hardware partners have agreed and they've built simple libraries so that you can, once you buy these devices as a developer from these partners, you can easily and seamlessly connect to Cloud IoT Core and start building applications. So we're going to continue to build out our partner ecosystem, both on the device side as well as on the application side. So that for developer, it makes it even simpler for them to build an end-to-end application. Third area is, we do have, as I mentioned, we do have a pretty rich set of services for data analytics, time series analysis, machine learning, and what we want to do is make it even more simpler and sort of more integrated to our overall Google IoT Core and the rest of IoT platform, so that the developers can and can really start using it without needing to write hundreds of lines of code. So I think those are the three areas where you would see us sort of investing more in near future.
Awesome. Gabe, I'll direct this to you. If people want to learn more about IoT Core, learn how to get set up and how to get going, where should they go? cloud.google.com/IoT-core. That's it?
That's it.
Cool.
Yep. So there's a beta page. You can view all the docs from there. There's a bunch of kind of quick start guides and examples already up in a couple different languages. So everything should be there to get you up and on your feet really quick.
And for those people that are lazy like me and like videos, the talk that you gave in Barcelona recently, was that recorded? Is there any video that we might want to check out?
Not yet, but I'm planning on recording some soon.
Awesome.
All right, cool. Well, if anything comes up in the meantime, we'll put it in the show notes. Before we wrap up today, we like to give everyone a last chance. Is there anything that you want to mention or plug, or any events coming up or anything like that you want to make sure that our listeners know about in case we have missed it on this episode so far?
I would just say that we're very excited with this beta release for Cloud IoT Core. We're seeing a tremendous amount of interest and traction, and we're really excited and we're really happy with that we've released this product, and so developers and partners can really build compelling application. Our goal really next step is to get this to GA so that developers and customers can really think about production deployment and get the peace of mind with SLA as well. So very excited, and I think in terms of the developer conference, I'll let Gabe speak to it.
Yeah, from our perspective, like Indranil said, making sure that we make it to GA is our priority right now. So I know early in 2018, we've got a couple of conferences coming up where we're going to be really kind of diving deep, getting people on board with it and exploring more, but nothing specific in the super near future.
Great. Well, looking forward to that. And thank you so much, both Indranil and Gabe, for taking the time today to talk about IoT.
Thank you.
Yep. Thanks for having us.
Thanks again to both Indranil and Gabe for telling us a little bit more about what IoT Core is and what people can build on top of it.
Yeah, it's a really cool platform. And if you're interested at all, the next episode that is coming up, we are talking to a customer who is using it in production. And they have a really, really, really cool use case that I think is quite interesting.
Yeah, super interesting interview. So looking forward to that.
Excellent. All right. Well, why don't we get stuck into the question of the week? So I figure we normally talk about GCP, but in this instance, Francesc, you posted up a really interesting blog post. I read it a lot. I found it quite fascinating. You're leaving Google. What about me? What am I going to do without you? What's going on here?
Why? So yes, I am leaving Google. I wrote that little blog post that went a little bit viral, and I've got a lot of people asking me whether I'm moving to Microsoft or Heptio. I'm not moving to Microsoft. I'm not moving to Heptio. I'm joining a tiny startup that I will be talking more about it later on, but I will be still doing a lot of Go. I will be still going to all of the Go conferences, so if people want to see me there, I will still be there, so do not worry. I will still be doing Just as Funk. The only thing I will not be doing is talking to you, Mark, on this beautiful podcast. And It is not because I really want to stop talking to you, which probably,
yeah,
maybe.
I know you do. It's fine.
It is just because I am very excited, new experience, new opportunities, so I could not say no.
That's totally fair enough. So who do we have replacing you?
I am very excited about this, and I say all the time in this podcast that I'm very excited, but I am sincerely excited about this because I think it was episode 93, yes. Correct me if I'm wrong, episode 93, we had an episode on the difference between AI and machine learning, and basically all of this came up with because we were having a lunch conversation with Melanie Work, and as I'm sure everybody noticed, she's super cool.
Yeah.
So we decided that since she's so cool and so interesting and also pretty good at doing podcasts, that maybe she'd be interested in replacing me. So we asked her, and she said yes.
Yeah,
so super excited, and I'm super excited to introduce Melanie Work. Melanie, how are you doing?
I'm good, thank you. I'm really looking forward to taking all the things and destroying Mark now. I'm looking forward to working with Mark.
So the tradition on this podcast stays exactly the same. It's fine.
Yeah.
That's right.
It's one guest against Mark. The guest changes, the host changes, but that's okay.
That's fine.
Still against Mark. Perfect.
Yep.
That's the game.
No, that's fine. Melanie, if people didn't manage to catch your episode 93, you should totally listen to it. Do you want to tell the audience a little bit about yourself?
Yes, I am basically senior developer advocate over at Google and working on Google Cloud Platform, working on AI and machine learning. And before that, I worked at Change.org doing machine learning in production, as well as worked at a startup building out an open source neural net platform in Java that was not TensorFlow. So those are my kind of tracks to get down the path into software engineering and data science. But yeah, I'm looking forward to this. This will be fun. Mark, You'll have a little bit of a different experience with me for sure, but I think we can find some fun topics to dive into.
I look forward to it. I've worked with Francesc for now 2 years. It's fine. Yeah, we need to change.
No.
It's fine.
It's been 101 episodes of Francesc all the time, so I think it's time to change indeed.
It takes more than 24 hours to listen to all that.
Oh, yes.
Oh my God, yeah. That's terrifying now that I think about it.
I know, right? So a lot of time. Francesco, you're going to be missed, and hopefully we'll get a chance to get you back and come visit and tell us about all the things.
I'll be very happy to come back as a guest anytime. Especially, I've heard that the San Francisco office is still serving really good free lunch. So we can always organize it. There's absolutely no problem with me.
Free lunch is very valuable, especially when you're working for a startup.
Yep.
Absolutely. Oh, Francesc, thank you to you for, 101 episodes of us doing this together. It has been a delight and a pleasure. You are definitely going to be missed.
Thank you so much. It was indeed an amazing experience. 101 episodes, and we've interviewed people like, Vin Cerf, John Wilkes, basically all of my big heroes of computer science have been there. We have not interviewed all of them yet. So it's hopefully up to you and Melanie to convince them and go get every single one of them. Notably, I know that Melanie is into AI and stuff, and I'd love to have an episode. I'm going to ask this as a departure present. I want, as a gift, an interview with Fei-Fei Li.
Nice. I'm a fan of Fei-Fei Li's as well. So I like that you're making a request on your way out the door. Is this like
yes.
my last wish?
My last wish is an episode with Fei-Fei Li. Not myself as a host, but I will definitely listen to it.
That's fair. That's totally fair.
But thank you, Mark, for really, really fun times. Long times, 101 episodes with around 30 to 45 minutes each. That's a long time of us speaking, but still, it was awesome. And, looking forward to the 100 next episodes and seeing what you and Melanie are able to build.
Awesome. Well, Francesc, for the last time, thank you so much for joining me on this episode this week.
Thank you, Mark and Melanie, for joining me in this episode today. And thank you all for listening.
Wonderful. And we'll see you all next week.
Have a good one.